gentlemen, my presentation is on the effectiveness of torture and the standards of conduct for interrogation and the ineffectiveness of direct interrogation and the Geneva Convention. A terrorist is suspected of having placed a bomb somewhere in New York City. That man is taken into custody and questioned. However, there is a time limit on his questioning because the man has admitted the bomb is going to go off in a matter of days. This theory is called the ticking time bomb theory. During his questioning, the man refuses to answer where the bomb is. Thousands of lives are at stake. This man is protected under the Geneva Convention because the country he is fighting for has signed this agreement. This man, who is suspected of planning a bomb, has also received resistant training in combating direct questioning. Time is running out. According to the Geneva Convention, which America signed to protect countries in warlike situations, what would happen when a prisoner of war refuses to answer questions in interrogation? Well, the Geneva Convention strictly prohibits torture. In fact, it prohibits unpleasant treatment. The only approved method of interrogation are direct questioning and isolation, according to the Geneva Convention. Though different forms of government desperately try to squeeze an answer out of this apathetic man, nothing works and the bomb goes off. Thousands die. Though this is an extreme case, this is an extreme hypothetical case, this is a possibility. Osama bin Laden, the main leader of Al-Qaeda, once said that the only way to establish their goal of terrorism was through force. This is clearly illustrated in the example of September 2001, on September 11, when 4 planes hit America. 2 hit the Twin Towers, 1 hit the Pentagon, and 1 landed in a field. This showed that they would use force and terrorism to get their goal, which was to unite all Muslims in Al-Qaeda. So likewise, just like they are using force, we need to use force back with them. Though torture is not lawful according to the Geneva Convention, it should be allowed because the Geneva Convention is ineffective. Torture is effective if used correctly, and the standards of conduct for interrogation are a better alternative. The Geneva Convention was created in 1864. This established the standards for interrogation and for the international law for the treatments of victims of war. This prohibits torture and only allows for direct questioning. By its very definition, torture is any act by which severe pain, whether mental or physical, is inflicted upon a person. Physical torture is any torture that attacks the body of the victim and leaves a mark. On the other hand, psychological torture is torture that attacks the mental state of the victim. Physical methods of torture include rape, stress positions, beating, caning, putting, waterboarding, and exposure to heat or cold. Psychological methods, on the other hand, include humiliation, loud noises, solitary confinement, and sleep deprivation. The main group that the military tortures is called Al-Qaeda. This is a multinational group with members from all over the globe, and they form a terrorist alliance led by Osama bin Laden before he got shot. Their goal is to unite all Muslims. When 9/11 happened, this caused a panic in America to strengthen their security. So because of this, the Geneva Convention came to be. But it is ineffective. First, it is ineffective because it is not applicable and is inconsistent and selective. For instance, it does not apply at all with 9/11. Al-Qaeda is not a state, but it is more of a group because it is not a specific country, province, or region, and the Geneva Convention only protects against states. Also, Al-Qaeda does not follow the criteria for lawful combat. It does not wear distinctive signs to distinguish themselves from civilians. They carry their arms openly, and they do not adhere to the customs of war. They attack civilians unlawfully, and Osama bin Laden once said, "We do not differentiate between those dressed in uniforms and civilians. They are all targets." So because Al-Qaeda is a state and does not follow criteria of war, it is not protected by the Geneva Convention. In 2002, President Bush realized this and banned the Geneva Convention for Al-Qaeda. This turned out to be extremely dangerous and consequential. In 2003, with the conflict with Abu Ghraib, this was a torture camp run in Cuba. We used torture to get how we wanted, and it turned out to be complete chaos and lawlessness. The interrogators there did not know what code to use. They were trained on the Geneva Convention, and since they were told that the Geneva Convention was not applicable, they didn't know what to use, so they tortured dog leashes on them, they beat them, they assaulted them, they stripped them. So when there's no code, complete chaos and lawlessness come about. So because of this, the Pentagon introduced the Geneva Convention back. So after the inhumane treatment, the Pentagon shut down every single stress method but interrogation and isolation. But the Geneva Convention is ineffective. In another camp in 2003 camp in Cuba, the Geneva Convention was used. Direct questioning and isolation was used, and before the camp, 95% of the interrogators predicted that the interrogators predicted that 95% of the prisoners would break solely upon questioning, but virtually none of the detainees gave up any information. This is because they absolutely had no fear. They were given 3 meals a day with fresh fruit. They played jazzercise with the guards. The guards even drew lines in the sand for them and gave them the Holy Quran so they could pray. The prisoners had the mentality of, let's just wait it out because it's comfortable. So none of the prisoners gave up any information. This camp was a complete failure. It was a waste of time and money, and it was ineffective. So surely there must be methods beyond the Geneva Convention that are effective. Complete lawlessness and chaos can't work either, because if we treat other countries and their prisoners badly, that gives them reason to retaliate against our own. And as Jody Rell, a respected politician, said, America's main goal are safety and security. So I propose a new method called the Standards of Conduct for Interrogation. This was proposed by Rumsfeld, and at a camp at Gidno in 2003, he proposed these methods and they were approved. First of all, he provided incentives for the detainee. He provided McDonald's fish fillets and cigarettes and Twinkies. Because of their unpleasant